Hi, Michael. This is one of the first of 4 videos or 4 messages that you'll receive with various videos attached to them. I am asking you to participate in a group that I call the 10, and I picked you. Okay, we'll talk about who I am in a minute. If you want to see who's on the 10, well, there they are, and you'll see your name on that list, and I'm sure you're familiar with the other people on the list as well. So what am I doing? Well, I have selected 10 people that I hope collectively can have enough influence to kind of shift the way that we're headed in a particular important area. Okay, and these people share the same traits. So who are you? Well, you're famous or semi-famous. You're educated and intelligent, and you've expressed multiple times that I know of an interest in pursuing the greater good. Okay, and it's exactly these kinds of people with these kinds of traits that met back in the mid to late 1700s, and talked about treason against the King of England back in the day. Okay. They talked about throwing off the bondage basically of having English rule, and and they talked about all the current things that were wrong with what they were doing, and they had a vision for. They saw a future, a brighter future, without the attachments to the British government. Our self-rule, our independent self-rule in this country. And so, am I talking about treason today? No. So let me talk about the structure of our government. So we recently inserted a massive perturbation into the structure of our government. We stuck Donald Trump, who has to be probably one of the worst possible people that we could possibly put in the position, and what many or most people would argue is probably the most critical position in our entire structure of government. We put him in that place, and with about 17 months to go in his first term, hopefully only term, we're still here. We still persist. We're still moving forward. Now, admittedly, most people would argue, or at least some people would argue, many, maybe. Anyway, people would argue, well, it's not as good as it was, okay, but we're still here. And the government continues to function, even with the worst possible person in the most critical position. So the government itself, the structure of the government itself, is strong. It's robust. The problem, the reason why we're not able to do so much better and be so much better, is not the structure, it's the people that we put in the structure. It's the representatives and the senators and the president that we insert into that structure. That's what's failing us. And what's failing us is, how are we identifying those candidates and how are we electing them into that structure? That's the problem. The two-party system, with the people, some dozens or maybe a few hundred people on both sides, if you will, who crave wealth, influence, and power. They, run their parties, and they bring up candidates that the candidates themselves have at least some portion of their personality that would be king. So these people, seeking wealth, influence, and power, people who would be king themselves, bring up candidates who also, because of the nature of our election system currently, also have a portion that would be king. And I argue that we know that this is absolutely true, because there's no way that a person that just wants to serve the country would go through the transcontinental bus rides and all the jetting around and eating all the fried foods at the Iowa State Fair and all of the rhetoric and shaking of hands until your hand's going to fall off, and all this stuff that the candidates go through to be elected to public office. They do this, and they do it willingly because there's a portion of them at least that would be king, that craves wealth, influence, and power, and would be king. And so that's where we are. And I'm proposing that a future that we could have, a bright future, a much brighter future than we currently have, is to get rid of the component where people would be king. Just have candidates that are, intelligent, educated, reasoned, reasonable, fair, and they have, kind of this internal penchant for just serving. And so this is where we are, and all of the bad things that are associated with it. This is this bright future that we could have if we would insert all of these great new candidates into the structure, and there's a chasm in between. How do we get from where we are to this future where we could be? And so I'm a guy, okay? I live in Hudson, Wisconsin, and I offer that I see this thing, and I'm hoping that the 10, you, Michael, being one of them, would, pick this up and carry it, okay? And so to try to, for me, there's this chasm. So how do I try to bring attention to it? How do I try to get people to at least, start recognizing that maybe there's something that should be considered? And also for my own edification, I went ahead and I did the filings to be, a candidate for President of the United States. So I'm an independent candidate for President of the United States. But I have no interest in running or campaigning, but I do have an interest in having some future state where a person like me, I'm perfectly happy if it isn't me, quite honest, but someone like me would be serving in these significant roles in the government so that we would have people serving the people. Wow. What a concept. So who am I? So you're watching the video associated with the first message you received. There's a video associated with the second message you're going to receive. And what I've done in that is I've taken 30 minutes and I've told you one of the stories in my life that I think best tells a person. If I was to pick a single story from my life and have it be representative and have people know me by a single story, I'm telling you that story in that second video. Now, I apologize to you. You may feel like it starts out kind of slow or something like that. I promise you it's well worth watching, all 30 minutes of it. And I also say to you, I give you fair warning, if you are the person that I think you are, toward the end of that video, there's very likely you'll be shedding more than a tear or two from that video. And then the third and fourth videos, well, this is the discussion that I'm offering, the straw man proposal around going from where we are to this future state and trying to cross the chasm in between. Okay, and why I'm hoping that there's enough discussion there to answer most of your questions about why I think the way that I do, and I'm hoping that upon reflection you will agree with me and join the 10, okay, to try to be that nucleus that helps the nation and perhaps the world shift from where we've been to where we should be. Well, I hope that I have the honor and privilege of meeting with you in the future, working with you on this particular project. And but only you can decide that. Only you can answer that question. So until some future time, bye for now.